Hi everyone, my name's Hazel and I'm an author and a PhD student, and in today's video I guess we're going to be doing something a bit different. I guess this is probably a more commentary type style video because today we're going to be talking about Sia, Autism and Sia's new film, or her first film as well I guess, that's called Music. I want to talk about it and I'm going to do my makeup at the same time because if I just sit here and do it I will probably cry. So let's get started. Okay, so first things first, you're going to ask, am I autistic? The answer is yes. Yes, I am autistic. I know, I'm well aware, most people don't think I am autistic either. Not right now because we're in lockdown, no one really sees me out and about, but for whatever reason, if I had to tell someone before lockdown I was autistic, they would usually say, you don't look autistic, you don't sound autistic, you don't seem autistic, you don't act autistic. Yeah, I get it a lot, don't worry. I know I don't seem autistic, whatever that actually means. Maybe it's because I wasn't diagnosed till I was 18/19, so quite a late diagnosis, but by that point I'd mastered the art of masking and pretending not to be myself. So maybe that's why, but if you're gonna dispute me being autistic, don't worry, you don't have to. I've heard it many times before from autistic people as well. And when I asked a few autistic people I knew on the internet about their thoughts on me doing this video, some of them were up for it, some of them wanted me to do it, and some others said I shouldn't do it because I'm not autistic enough to talk about this. Again, not really sure what not being autistic enough means, but yeah, I've been told that. So, yep, I'm autistic, don't worry, you don't need to tell me I don't seem autistic. I already know. It's alright. And secondly, if you are autistic and you weren't offended by Sia and this film and Maddie Ziegler's portrayal of a non-verbal autistic person, that is completely fine. Autistic people, we're not a monolith. We have our own thoughts, feelings, behaviours. That's fine. You don't have to be offended. I asked my younger brother, who is autistic, about this, if like what his thoughts were. I showed him the trailer and he couldn't care less. However, my brother is also the most unbothered person on the planet. You could cut off his own arm and make him eat it and he'd still be like, okay, and what next? What are you gonna do next? My foot? He would not care in the slightest. So if you're not offended, that's fine, you don't have to be. I'm not always offended when something happens in the autism community. That's fine. But this did offend me, and I know it did offend and hurt the feelings of many people, both who are autistic or maybe had a relative or a close friend, something like that, who was autistic instead of them. So if you don't know the situation at hand, essentially Sia, the singer-songwriter, I believe, does she write her own songs? I don't know, I don't really listen to Sia to be honest. She is releasing a film, so the film's already been made, called Music, and it's about, from what I know, because only the trailer has been released, from what I know it's about a non-verbal autistic girl and her relationship with her sister and the way they communicate. That's what it seems like from the trailer. However, instead of doing the sensible thing of hiring someone autistic to play the autistic person, Sia didn't do that. Sia chose to hire instead Maddie Ziegler. Now Maddie Ziegler has been in a lot of Sia's projects before, I believe, like Maddie Ziegler. So she kind of started to get famous on Dance Moms, and then on Dance Moms that's when Sia watched it and saw Maddie and her dancing and was like, I want Maddie in my music videos as a dancer, because Sia, her whole like thing, I think, is about she wants the focus to be on the performance and the singing rather than her appearance, because of like the female double standards in the music industry. That's how I interpret it anyway. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Sia fans. I don't listen to Sia. And I think this foundation colour is ever so slightly too dark for me. Great. So whilst I do believe that Sia was in the wrong, I don't believe she set out to do this with malicious intent. I don't believe she hired someone who wasn't autistic to play an autistic person because she hates autistic people, she wanted to mock them, she wanted to make fun of them on the film, and I don't think that was Maddie's intention either. I don't think they had malicious intent with making this film. However, I'm sure we have all intended not to hurt somebody's feelings, but we ultimately have hurt their feelings. We've all done it. However, I'm pretty sure, please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure I personally have never managed to do it to the extent that I've insulted an entire community of people. I don't think I've ever done that, particularly a community that is underrepresented in the film industry. Like I said, I was only 18, 19 when I was diagnosed with autism, which is kind of an old age for an autism diagnosis. So when that happened, I was like, I don't really know of any autistic actors, autistic singers, autistic famous people in general. To be honest, I don't know of any, and I still don't know of any, because the only really famous autistic person I know of is the actor Anthony Hopkins. It's the only one I know who to me has any real sort of standing. Of course there are probably actors who are autistic but haven't been diagnosed, or who are autistic and don't want to talk about it, and honestly I'm not surprised. Like, with the way autistic people seem to be treated, ergo with this film, if I was an autistic actress in Hollywood, I wouldn't want to tell anybody either. And I know the argument, I've heard the argument loads about like, well, if you're making a film about a serial killer, you wouldn't hire a serial killer. Like, no, of course you wouldn't hire a serial killer to play a serial killer, because, you know, people have common sense. However, when you have actors and actresses and anyone else who acts, you know, there are people with autism in that job, why wouldn't you hire them? You know, just seems a bit weird, bit odd. Not very nice, to be honest, to do that. So I'm not going to react to the trailer. I'm assuming if you're here, you've probably seen it a few times. It's not very long. The film itself, just as a film without the autism, looks fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I do have a master's in screenwriting. It seems fine to me in terms of just the general overall story. I'm not here to critique the film from a writer's perspective. I'm more critiquing it from the autism perspective, I guess. But it just annoyed me how Sia was saying on her Twitter about how angry, or annoyed rather, she was about people judging the trailer. I don't know if Sia is aware, but that's what a trailer is for. It's to help you judge the film, to see if you want to go and see it, to see if that's your kind of thing. I haven't been to the cinema in over a year at this point, but when I went to the cinema, you know, you get the trailers first before the feature film you're there to see. That's the thing you pay for. And I know instantly which films I'm interested in, which ones I'm not. For example, if there's a trailer for a horror film, not really interested in it. Trailer for an action film, again, not really interested in it. My favourite films are romance films, kind of family-friendly films, stuff like We Bought a Zoo, Night at the Museum. I like those kinds of films, as well as any films that contain a heist. I love heist films. So no, this film isn't for me, but it's because it doesn't seem very nice about autistic people. You know, that's the reason why it's not for me. But to say people shouldn't be judging it from the trailer is just a bit odd, because that's the purpose of a trailer. You're supposed to judge it to see if you want to go and see it. So I can't speak to Manny's portrayal of a non-verbal autistic person. I am obviously not non-verbal, and I don't actually know any non-verbal autistic people. I know just very few people in general because I have severe anxiety. I don't really talk to that many people, and I think I know, yeah, just probably 2 other autistic people, and I'm related to them both. So yeah, I can't speak to the accuracy of the portrayal. However, I did hear they sent it off to something called the Child Mind Institute. I'm assuming it's either American or Australian, because Maddie is American and Sia is Australian, I believe. So I'm assuming it's from one of those countries. I don't think we have it in the UK. If we have, never heard of it, sorry. However, they shouldn't ever really have had to have sent it off to be checked for accuracy, because if you just hired a non-verbal autistic person in the first place, you know, you wouldn't have to do that. And I feel just a mixture of that plus the way the autism is kind of looked at in the trailer, it does seem it's more illness first rather than person first. If you don't know what this illness first or person first means, essentially illness first is when the illness comes first rather than the person. So for example, saying an autistic person would be illness first, because the illness literally comes first, versus a person with autism. The person comes first, it's person first language. The same way you should say a person with schizophrenia rather than a schizophrenic. But again, that's just my opinion, my take on it. That is just from the trailer alone. I hope the actual film is definitely more person first. I do feel like it could go either way, where it might be a focus on Maddie's relationship with her sister in the film, who I believe is, she's called Kazoo, or Zoo for short, played by Kate Hudson, I think. I'm not 100% sure, I'm really bad with names, I'm so sorry. So I hope there is a more of a focus on that rather than how they deal with Maddie's, or not Maddie's rather, sorry, Music's autism in the film. That's what I hope is going to happen, instead of what I think is going to happen, where it's just going to be about autism rather than the sisters' relationship, as well as maybe their relationship with Leslie Odom Jr.'s character as well. And just going back to Maddie playing this part rather than the script itself, that I don't really know what happens in, but I did see a couple of comments, and I've watched a few videos of people on this, other creators who are autistic and who do a lot more, I guess, autism focused commentary. I've only like mentioned my autism once or twice in passing and made one video about it before, so this is definitely not the kind of thing I usually do on my channel. But I saw a comment under those videos where it was a mother commenting, so she wasn't autistic but her son did have autism, and he was really excited when he saw the trailer for this, because he was like, Maddie Ziegler, someone he's looking up to, is going to be portraying a person with autism. And in a way, I do think that's a really positive thing. I feel like with famous teenagers as they go, Maddie is probably one of the much better influences you could have. I would say any of the girls off Dad's Mums, apart from 2 who voted for a certain somebody in the American election. The girls from Dance Mums do seem like fairly good role models to have, and I do think Maddie is, as far as I'm aware, she's fairly unproblematic. She does seem like she would be a good and positive influence on people. However, why couldn't they hire an up-and-coming autistic actor? Not even necessarily up-and-coming, just someone new who is also autistic, and kind of raise her by being in this film to have the same level of influence as Maddie. You know what I mean? Like, they could have done that, you know? And Sia, she has so much influence. She could, in my opinion, I feel like she could do that pretty darn easily, to be honest. And I am aware that Sia did initially hire, I believe, a non-verbal autistic actress, but she decided to not carry on with the film because she found the situation, I'm assuming the situation on set, I don't know, I don't think anyone's ever talked about what exactly caused this person with autism to be stressed out so much that she had to leave the film, had to give up the part. But assuming it was the set that was stressful, or maybe it was the filming schedule itself, because films are usually, you know, so you don't spend loads of money, they are shots in a very, you know, succinct amount of time where everything is scheduled very heavily, so you're not having to reshoot things and so people aren't late, things like that. So I'm not sure what exactly was stressful, but I'm pretty sure Sia was the director, and I'm assuming she would have put some money into this, meaning she was probably part producer. She probably didn't produce all of it. But if she was largely in charge of the film, why couldn't she change it so it was less stressful for this person with autism she'd hired? Why not? Like, she's Sia, she's not some sort of indie artist, she is Sia. Like, for example, I predominantly listen to K-pop. I don't really know a lot about Western artists. I don't know the majority of their names unless my brothers tell me. Neither of them listen to Sia, and I still know who she is. I don't even listen to songs written in English pretty much anymore. So it just baffles me. Like, she has all this money and influence and power, and she couldn't just make the set a little less stressful for this person she'd hired, who is the main character, if not the second main character. And I mean, surely to God she would be aware that if she didn't hire an autistic person, she must have been aware about the amount of backlash she would face. Like, for example, let me give you an example. So one of my favourite films is The Princess Diaries. If you don't know what The Princess Diaries is about, it's like a coming of age film with Anne Hathaway quite a while ago, this was a while ago, and she is playing an American high schooler who lives in San Francisco with her mum. She lives a fairly normal life. She's not the most popular at school. She has like 4 friends. She's very, very shy. She's just a normal teenager. Then one day, her grandma, her dad's mum, her dad is dead, comes to visit. So Anne Hathaway's character, who's called Mia, goes to see her. And her grandma reveals that she's not just her grandma. She is the queen of this country called Genovia. It's not a real country, it's meant to be between France and Spain, I believe. But she tells Mia that I am the queen, your father was a prince, and you're a princess of Genovia. And Mia freaks out. She can't handle it, and the rest of the film is a mix of her handling her feelings towards being this normal, very unpopular girl at school to being the most popular girl in the world because she's now a princess, as well as dealing with acting like a princess, like kind of the different behaviours that would go with it. And her grandma tells her that she either has to accept or renounce her title by a certain date, which is right at the end of the film. And if she doesn't accept the title, her grandma tells her it's fine, but it means that when Clarice, which is Julie Andrews' character, she plays the queen, she's amazing in it, she tells her that when she steps down as queen, it will pass on, the crown will pass on to the next family in line because Clarice has no more heirs left, Mia is the only one who can take the throne. It will pass on to the next family in line and Genovia will cease to exist as they know it. They don't go into what could happen, but it will cease to exist. So by the end of the film, Mia kind of decides that she doesn't want to become Genovia's princess formally. She feels like she's going to make such a bad job of it. She doesn't want to do it. Now her best friend is called Lily, and Lily is that one person we all have at school that we all knew who wanted to change the world. They were a climate activist, had a different petition every single week about which animal they want to save. And Lily's like, I think you should take it because I want to do all these great things, but I can't do anything because I have 0 power. If you become the princess and one day the queen of Genovia, you can do so much. And Lily is 100% right. So Sia had this opportunity, she has the money, she has the power, she has the influence to change the way people view autistic people, because I get treated not the best when people find out I'm autistic. Not by everyone I've come across in life, but I have very few friends just because the way people treat me once they find out I'm autistic isn't often very nice, to be honest. So Sia had that opportunity and she didn't take it. And honestly, I wouldn't mind someone who isn't autistic doing it. Sometimes you need someone who isn't directly part of the community to do it. But for someone who isn't autistic with all this money, power and influence to do this is just like a kick in the teeth to me. So now let's move on to the fun time that was had on Twitter when the trailer was released and Sia was really rude to everyone. So one of the most notable things was when Sia was talking to someone who was an actor who was also autistic and talking about, and they talked about kind of their struggles with finding work as a person with autism. And instead of, I don't know, sympathising with them, offering some advice, offering something, I don't know what exactly she could have done, but instead of doing that, she just said, maybe you're a bad actor. Like, okay, thanks. Sia claims to be someone who is pretty knowledgeable about autism. So to me, who is autistic, would expect someone who is claiming that would know about masking and how essentially most autistic people are acting, which is what masking is, pretty much every single day of our lives. That's why I didn't get diagnosed for so long, because I got so good at masking or acting every single day of my life that nobody could tell I was autistic. And of course, Sia also revealed on Twitter that she had worked with Autism Speaks. I'm not going to go into Autism Speaks. If you Google it, you'll find out why that's such a bad move if you didn't know, they just, for an autism charity, they just don't really like autistic people, in a nutshell. That's in a nutshell, in my opinion, so I don't get sued by them, that's what they seem like, essentially. So it was one thing to make all of these mistakes, and it's another how you apologise for those mistakes. We've all hurt people before, and people have hurt us before, and the hurt we feel can't be taken back, you can't turn back time, but it can be healed with an apology. And I did see Sia's apology. However, it wasn't posted to her Twitter where she caused all this. It was posted to a random news website, and I just found it because I went searching for it. So to me, I mean, first of all, I don't think the apology was very good in the first place, but to me it just showed how much she cared, or rather didn't care about it, because she couldn't even post it to the place where she'd caused the hurt. I couldn't find it on her Twitter anywhere. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I watch a lot of YouTubers, and I've been through a lot of YouTube apologies, and they generally make the apology on the platform they did the thing wrong on, or on the platform where they have the most followers, the most traction. So for example, YouTube apologies. They really should post the apology on YouTube because that's their biggest platform. Not everyone who subscribes to their YouTube account also follows them on Twitter. But Sia didn't post it to her Twitter, so it just shows to me how much she meant it, to be honest. And I just think overall this whole situation is just awful. Like I said before, I wasn't diagnosed till I was 18, 19, and some of the people I went to high school with, who finished high school in England at 16, the amount of people who had known me that whole time I didn't know I was autistic, who started treating me differently afterwards when they found out a few years later, was horrible. And the new people I've met, even if I tell them I'm autistic straight away, they don't treat me very nicely either. It's just not very nice. And just as a whole, society just seems to hate autistic people, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Like, for example, my mum is a social worker, and at the minute she's working with the school to help this boy who has autism, and the one thing he would like doesn't cost any money. Instead of entering through the entrance where all the children enter the school because it's too busy and stressful for him, he'd like to enter at the other entrance where the staff go in and any guests go in, because it's a lot quieter. The school has said no because it's too expensive. It costs literally zero. However, at the same school, they have several children who are in wheelchairs, and they've installed ramps for them. Ramps are expensive. They also have a lot of people with dyslexia at the school, so they have to have loads of different coloured sheets of paper to print handouts on for those students alone. All of those things, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say they shouldn't be done. They definitely should be done so those children can go to school and learn. They should be done. But they all cost money. And they won't do this one thing for this boy with autism that costs absolutely nothing just because they don't want to accommodate him. To me, it's just disgusting the way I've been treated from the age of, like, I don't really remember anything till I was 4. From 4 to 18, when I wasn't autistic. I obviously was, I have been since I was born, but I didn't know from 18 to now to 24. The amount of things that people have said to me that are horrible between now and then. It's just awful. Like, there's this quote from this book that I'm doing as part of my PhD, because my PhD is about mental health. It's not about autism, it's just about mental health in general, to be honest. And it's from the book Challenger Deep by Neil Schusterman. And the book is actually about a boy with schizophrenia. He has schizophrenia. So this quote is kind of about that. I just feel like you can apply it to so many things. So at this point in the book, the main character, Caden, he's having a dream, he's asleep, but he knows he's going to wake up soon, and he doesn't want to, because he says he will be thrust awake into a place where either I'm broken or the world is broken. And this trailer, this film that seems like it's coming out, I haven't heard about anything that it's not coming out. To me anyway, maybe I'm just being dramatic, but to me it just serves as a reminder about how much people care, or rather don't care, about autistic people and how much they care about hurting people's feelings of communities they quite obviously don't care about. And it's not very nice. Honestly, for me at this point, I'd just rather not be represented at all than have this kind of representation where people think it's okay that in 2020/2021, where it's okay to hire someone who doesn't have autism to play someone with autism. Like no, sorry, I'm not on board with that. I know there are a lot of older films and TV shows where someone who isn't disabled is playing a disabled person. For example, Forrest Gump is quite an old example, but The Good Doctor is a more recent example. Just because it was more accepted then doesn't mean it was okay then either, and like I said, I'd just rather not be represented at all than be represented like this. So yeah, that's I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Will I be watching the film? I don't know. Part of me kind of wants to watch it to see just what it's gonna be like, but also at the same time I don't want to go out of my way to get offended. Like, I don't understand people who do that, who watch things that would like deliberately know they're gonna offend them. I don't know. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch it. I don't know if I want to. Maybe I'll see when reviews come out. Hopefully another person who has autism, who has a channel here on YouTube, will watch it. For example, I really love the channel Princess Aspien. I think that's how you say it. Like I said, I'm really bad with names, I'm so sorry. I really enjoy their channel as well as their video reacting to this trailer. And just in general, their channel is just about autism commentary in general. So if you're looking for more autism commentary content, I would go to Princess Aspien's channel. I will link it down below. This is probably the first and hopefully last time I will make a video like this, because whilst I think it's an important topic to talk about, I didn't really enjoy talking about it, because I just feel, with the way the world is right now, I just feel we shouldn't even have to say, hey, you should be hiring a person with autism to play a person with autism. I don't know. To me, I feel like it's common sense. I don't know, I'm not really sure of Sia's thought process here, but yeah, to me it's just common sense at this point to hire someone who, yeah. Anyway, that is all for today. You better all have a nice day. That was a threat, and I hope you all stay safe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!